A snowball and a comet actually have quite a lot in common. In fact, if you add some dirt and grit and some rather nasty frozen gases in there, you've got a pretty good model of what a comet is. Of course, the real thing is actually a bit bigger than this, anywhere between 100 metres and say 40 kilometres across. They exist in a region outside of the planets, in the far extremes of the solar system. And occasionally, one of these dirty snowballs will come flying in towards the sun. When this happens, as it gets closer to the sun, some material gets thrown off the comet and ends up in a shroud, if you like, around this nucleus. And it's this shroud that reflects sunlight back and that you can see actually as a fuzzy comet in the night sky. Now, throughout February, we've got a comet which hopefully will become naked eye visible. This is Comet Lulin. It's a new comet. It's coming from the outside of the solar system on an open orbit. It'll come round once and then it will disappear again. And it has the virtue of being quite easy to see in the last week of February. So let's see how we can find it. To do this, we have to use our old friend, the plough, or as I prefer to call it, the saucepan. If you imagine it as a saucepan, pick the two stars which are furthest away from the handle. Those are called the pointers. They point up towards the pole star Polaris. Now, the two stars next to the handle I like to think of as the reverse pointers. If you point them down, you eventually come to a fairly bright star which is known as Regulus, and that's the brightest star in the constellation of Leo the Lion. You know if you've got the right star because above it there is a question mark, a backward question mark of stars, which is known as the sickle. Now, below and to the left of Regulus, there is a fairly brightish yellowish star, which isn't a star at all. That's the planet Saturn. And Saturn and Regulus are the two markers to finding Comet Lulin throughout the end of February. On the night of the 23rd, the comet can be found 2 degrees below Saturn, to the south of Saturn. That's 4 full moon diameters below Saturn. So if you've got a pair of binoculars and you can find Saturn, place Saturn at the top of the field of view, and there at the bottom you should see a little fuzzy patch, perhaps even with a tail, and that's Comet Lulin. On the night of the 27th, the comet actually passes just 1/2 degree to the south of Regulus, and that makes it extremely easy to find. So if you put Regulus in the field of view of a pair of binoculars or even a telescope with a low power, you should be able to see this fuzzy blob, this fuzzy patch, which is Comet Lulin. Now, will it make naked eye visibility? Comets are very unpredictable. All we have to do is hope that something exciting happens with Comet Lulin, go outside and see for yourselves.